Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in just a minute. Get settled and get comfy. Let me know if you can hear me. I know we got some music playing in the background, but share in the chat if you can hear my voice. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Claudia. Appreciate that. Started in just another minute. Hopefully now you can also see me. Okay, welcome. It's about 2 after, so we are gonna get started. Got the music off. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are calling in from. I am excited to be talking about the 5 little known strategies for a successful career. If you haven't been to one of my events before, my name is Dr. Benjamin Ritter. I am the founder of Live For Yourself Consulting and a leadership and career coach. I also work in talent development, build talent development departments, and focus heavily on organizational and leadership development within organizations. It can involve performance management, leadership coaching, anything that really relates to talent within an organization itself. And I like having that blend of that personal one-on-one coaching outside of organizations to help people craft a career they can love, and that internal perspective. And it really does help in my guidance with my clients. And actually, I'm going to go back to that first slide because there was a little question on it that I want everyone to join in the chat with. Please introduce yourself. We're here for the next hour together. Let us know where you're joining us from and the industry that you work in. You're spending your time here today to learn about how to have a successful career. And part of that is connecting with people that also want to do the same. As we'll talk about later in the workshop today, relationships are the only real global currency. And so let's take advantage of your time. Yeah, throw your LinkedIn link in the chat as well. Make sure you have everyone selected and who you're sending the messages to. You're not sending a direct message. This is your chance to connect with others. Share maybe even a question that you have about your career, people that you want to connect with. You want to connect with creative designers? Throw that in the chat. You want to connect with executives in the CPG space? Throw that in the chat. You just want to say hi and give everyone some excitement? Throw that in the chat. And if you want to connect with people further, LinkedIn is a great place to start. So good to see some people joining. Awesome. I'm going to make sure we have the waiting room off. Wonderful. So people can make their way in. So awesome. Virginia, Michigan, Toronto, Canada, Chicago. Wonderful. I'm on LinkedIn too, everyone. Look me up, Dr. Benjamin Ritter. Send me a message, especially if you like what we're talking about today. So overall, what we do is we help leaders create a job they can love and have confidence in their career path and themselves. So that involves career and leadership development, really defining your professional brand as well as your executive presence. We work across industries. So if you work in an industry, we probably worked with a client within that space. And here's just a sample, couple organizations that also partner with us so we can provide executive development, leadership development, and such for their department, for specific departments within those organizations. Now, clients also self-pay because they're looking not always to grow in an organization, but to move out of the one that they're at, because sometimes what you want isn't where you are. It's not to say that you can't try where you're at, but opportunities are abundant in the world. So we don't always partner with organizations. People also pay for individual career development coaching as well. So I just want to let you know we have about a decade's worth of experience in this space. What I'm going to talk about today comes from real client stories and growth. And so if you question something, hey, send me a message, say that you question it, throw it in the chat if you question it. But I promise you, if you listen and pay attention and do the work that we're going to suggest, you're going to create more success in your career. So that means, though, you're going to have to focus. So if you've been in one of my workshops before, you know this is a slide that is pretty common. On the right there, we have a lot of creatures and characters that are yelling at you, that are trying to get your attention. Well, the only thing that I hope has your attention right now for the next 45 minutes or so is this workshop. You deserve it. You're here to create more success in your career. So let's put all your time and energy into this workshop. Then I'd also suggest, if you're looking to make some progress in your career, do you have blocks on your calendar? Do you have 30 minutes at least once a week, or two 30-minute blocks, or even three 50-minute blocks throughout your week to focus specifically on growing in your career? We tend to get overwhelmed with all the things that we need to do in just our day-to-day job and our personal life. And if we don't make space for it, it's not going to happen. So all of you, big win today. Hope you're patting yourself on the back, cheering yourself on. The fact that you made time to focus on growing your career is just, that's like literally the secret ingredient. It's not one of the secrets, but it is the foundational secret ingredient to you continuing to create more success. So today we're going to talk about what actually is a successful career. I'm sure we have some different definitions. Maybe they align in some ways, but I'd like to actually talk about, how I define a successful career and what I've found with my clients and through my research that helps us enjoy our day-to-day more. That's the point, right? That's why we're here. We work, it's great, we make some money from it, but overall, it'd be nice to also enjoy what we do each and every single day with our time. I'm going to talk about the 5 little known strategies that relate to career success. And then there'll be a raffle at the end. We'll be raffling off a leadership and career development session, as well as our masterclass that we created. You can throw your questions in the chat box throughout the workshop today, but we'll also have some time for Q&A at the end. Please pull out a pen and paper or a pencil if you still have those. And I'm not sure where you find a sharpener nowadays, but I'm sure you can find one online. Or open up a Word document on your computer or a notes section on your phone. But overall, write down the questions that I'm going to prompt you with. You're going to do a little bit of work today during the workshop, but this is going to continue. If you want to actually follow the 5 little known strategies and create more success, this is going to take more work, right? Those time blocks on your calendar. But we are going to engage a little bit and do some of that work now. So let's try out actually one of our engagement tools called Slido. So this is a tool for anonymous feedback and engagement within meetings. You can put your camera app over the QR code, or you can go to slido.com and use the keyword career success. So again, you can hover your camera app over that QR code. A little link will pop up. You can click it. It'll take you straight to Slido. Or you can open up a browser window and type in slido.com keyword career success. Just to make sure that everyone can use Slido and has it up, let's try our first question. How successful have you been in your career? Let's rate it. 5 being the most unbelievably successful, 1 being not at all. Let's see how many people we can get using Slido and get a little bit of a baseline on how successful we feel. Because hopefully by the end of our workshop today, you move at least one number up. And a week from the workshop, hopefully you move maybe 2 numbers up. Because even just a little bit of effort on what we're going to cover today can create more success immediately. Let's see, 12 people. We've got 36 in the workshop. Let's see if we can get a couple more people on Slido. Give you a second to access it. I know it can take some time. We can add a baseline of a 3, which tends to be pretty normal for a Likert scale. Got some at 4, got some at 5. I love the 5s. Some personal confidence there. Love it. Okay, pretty good. Thank you for voting. And we're going to continue using Slido, so keep that up on your phone or your browser. If you haven't joined it yet, try to join next time or throw your number in the chat. But this is a great way for us to stay engaged, and it's a great way for you to stay engaged through our workshop today. So what about the actual definition of career success? Every single time a client comes to me, they have a different definition of what success means to them. It's influenced by social pressures, their own experiences, their own industries that they work in, the people that they surround themselves with. So what does career success mean to you? Looks like a one-liner. What does career success mean to you? I see a 3, so that's probably for the last question. I think thank you for entering it now. It means that you got Slido up and that you're using it. What does career success mean for you? Fulfillment, freedom, those are powerful words. Stability, energizing. Ooh, a wealth of experiences. It's like novelty. Enjoy what you're doing, independence, stability, growth. Ooh, energizing keeps entering. I love that. Feel energized today? I feel energized today. I'm going to bring some energy for all of you, bring a little bit more energy to this workshop. Attaining your potential, doing something that matters to myself and my community each and every single day. Confidence, independence. Oh, these are powerful. I'm going to print this out and hang it up. See, the words that are bigger are the ones that are getting more and more votes. More people are entering those types of words. Dignity. I love it. Okay, thank you for sharing what career success means to you, because that's important. How you define career success actually, defines if you're going to be able to achieve it. If you believe that stability is important to you for career success, then how much are you focused on stability? If you believe that fulfillment is related to career success, what fulfills you? And so we can actually start peeling the onion a little bit back on this definition to figure out, well, how do I feel successful? I'm going to share some secrets for you from my experiences, but everyone is a unique individual. So if you know that novelty is important to you, that you value that within your professional life, are you working at a place that allows you to be flexible? Or do you feel that you're empowered to create flexibility in your work environment? So don't lose sight of what you just defined right now. Make a note of it. And this can be a homework assignment. Peel that back a little bit more and see how intentional you are being to your definition of career success. So John is a epitome of the people that I work with. He is someone that has been professionally successful, but didn't feel successful. We're going to talk about John for a second. Overall, he's struggling to figure out what's wrong. He changed jobs about a year and a half ago, and he thought that changing that job was going to put him in an organization that he'd thrive, that he'd finally feel successful. It was a greater title, there was more money, but it still didn't feel right. Things still felt wrong. And so he didn't know what he should keep doing. And he especially didn't know what he should do next, because he's just spent, a year and a half moving to a new location, investing and learning into a new organization, really learning a new industry. And he thought that he knew what success was. And he hasn't reached it yet. So overall, though, he isn't really sure of his own value or his brand. People ask him what he does. He talks about the organization and his job. But when people ask him what he wants to do, he doesn't really know. And he doesn't really trust himself to actually know, because his decisions haven't led him to feel successful. Overall, though, he's pretty busy. He works really hard. He's a high achiever. So he hasn't really had time to ask him these important questions, really reflect on what he's done for himself in his career. And because he's so busy, he really keeps to himself. Maybe travel for part of the week, or he's just really deep in work. So he doesn't have a lot of professional relationships in the organization or outside work, other than really that relate to his work. He has some pretty strong connections, but he hasn't really touched base with them in a while. He just can't find the time. Overall, though, he's kind of waiting to see what happens. He thinks if he keeps working hard, he might get that promotion. And isn't that what career success is? Something's going to come up. And every now and then a recruiter will reach out to him. And so he thinks, well, professional opportunities come from recruiters and come from people reaching out to me. So he's waiting to see what will happen. Overall, he wants to be successful because he thinks that relates to career happiness. But based on his experiences, he's starting to give up. He's starting to doubt that career success is possible. I don't know if any of this resonates with you. If it does, throw it in the chat. Say yes. I'd love to see. But when I work with individuals, a lot of this is going on. They've made some decisions that haven't led them to their goals in their career. And so they start doubting themselves. They start doubting their job. They start doubting work overall for happiness. But I promise you, there are some keys to professional success. And so there are some pieces of this that are really important that actually kind of hint at what we're going to talk about today. The what he should do next. Think about that. Knowing what's in front of you, having clarity creates confidence, allows you to be intentional about what you want to focus on, and lets you fully invest in where you're at because you're confident in what is actually going to happen and where you're going. So that's important. That vision piece is really crucial, as well as his value and his brand. Knowing what you stand for and why you work and what's important about the industry that you're in. Well, that allows you to walk in a room and someone asks you, well, what do you do? And you can confidently say that. It also allows you to learn specifically, right? Have very specific investments in certain skills and traits and industries because you don't feel like you're wasting your time. So you can become a subject matter expert that much more quickly. As well as you're more likely to apply to new opportunities and seek them out if you do have confidence in your values and your brand. Now, very often we are our jobs. We are so busy that we don't have the time to remember that we are not our jobs. We are our own professional brand. And so the key here, professional relationships, not just in the organization, but outside. If people don't know of your work, it doesn't matter how hard you work, especially outside of your organization. The moment you leave that organization, what is important about what you've been doing? And if you're looking to grow in your career, keep that in mind. People only know what you share with them or what they can see. And so even though you're working hard, really hard right now today and sacrificing maybe your own health and your relationships, why does that matter? So we have to make it matter. Or we have to take a step back and realize, okay, so maybe the hard work that I'm doing right now isn't actually the key to greater success. The waiting piece. He's been waiting for another opportunity to come up. Our careers, for a lot of people, happen to them. But career success is when we take greater control of our career and decide to make something happen. But that's really only possible if you know what you want to do next, if you know your value and your brand, you have connections and professional relationships. And so you're creating opportunities. And because you're intentionally in an environment, you also start attracting opportunities. When I first start working with coaching clients, I tell them, hey, just so you know, you're putting some new things out in the world right now. You're intentionally showing up. You're learning specifically. You're connecting with individuals, and you're focusing on your career path in a way that you haven't done before. Pay attention. The world is going to listen, and you'd be surprised the people that end up actually reaching out to you, the people that you actually run into, and the people that listen and respond to your value and to your vision. Because you're finally putting it out there. You're not just focusing on doing the work. And a lot of people seek career success because they want to be happy. And happiness might be, I know some people have heard this before, is a choice. And we're going to talk a little bit about the perception of success in this workshop too. So these highlighted areas hint at the 5 little known strategies for a successful career. Now, some of these may seem really common to you. Go, Ben, of course, this obviously that makes sense. But what's obvious doesn't mean that people actually do it. So if you do the things that I'm going to suggest today, or if you want more information about them, feel free to reach out, or you can look up these topics online and get more information. But if you do at least one thing a week in one of these areas, you will accelerate your career, because a lot of people are not. The majority of people are not. So make sure you have that pen and paper, that note application up on your phone or Word document. Take some notes, dedicate some time throughout your week to do some homework, and let's engage on Slido as well. So the first secret is that you have to know your story. This is how you got to where you are today. Your strengths and skills, or some people like to call them your superpower. It's pretty neat, by the way, if you go, my superpowers are in an interview or when you're in a networking event. People really resonate with the word superpower. And we do have superpowers because the things that are easy to us are not easy to everybody. So let's examine what those are, what your strengths are, what you've been taught over the years, what you learned, what excites you to learn about. And then also, like, what is it that you actually want to do moving forward? So if you were to reflect back on when you were retired in your career and go, these are the types of projects I wanted to have worked on. This is the impact that I want to have on the world through my work, that is also part of your story, because you're going to make that happen. You are going to explore those areas. So what can help with this is actually pulling out your resume and reflecting on your previous experiences, the projects that you've been a part of, and identify different stories from each of those specific professions, those jobs that you had, that highlight your brand, that highlight the strengths that you have, the interests that you have, and then also, right, think about what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. And you put all this information together and you end up getting a story about yourself. And this is what you would answer in an interview when someone says, tell me about yourself. Usually the first question in every interview, by the way. So if you were to invest any time in a question about your past experience, it is tell me about yourself. And very often what people do wrong here is they actually start with, oh, well, when I was in school or in my first job. But the story, your career story, think about it almost as a newspaper article. There's a headline, there's a quick summary, and then it goes into the actual details. But I want us to take, it's one thing to tell you to do this, another thing to actually spend some time doing it. So I want us to practice our pitch. And so I'm going to give everyone 5 minutes to actually write out their pitch. And this is the start of your story. It's kind of the abbreviated version of it. It's what you share in networking events. It's what you share when you talk to someone on the phone about, just from a connection call. It's what you share during an interview when someone says, tell me about yourself. And I don't expect everyone to be perfect right now with their pitch, but at least we can get started. And what's super cool about motivation is that if you start something, but don't finish it, you're more likely to actually go back to it. That unfinishedness of a project leads to more motivation. So we're going to practice our pitch. As an example, I put the template here. You want to start off with what your superpowers are, and then you want to share your current title or the title that you want next, or the title that you would define for who you are professionally, your years of experience, and then what are some of the major areas that relate to that job title. And then you're going to talk about what you want next. And as an example, I'm going to share my own. My name is Dr. Benjamin Ritter. I guide leaders that feel stuck and are doubting their career to discover and create a career they can love and feel confident in. I'm an executive leadership and career coach with over a decade's worth of experience with an expertise in organizational leadership, talent development, and coaching. Right now, I'm focused on coaching one-on-one and completing my new book. So let's take 5 minutes, pull out your piece of paper, open that notes app on your phone, and let's write your pitch. Okay. When you're done, throw it in the chat. I would love to see them. So we got 5 minutes on the clock. We'll come back at 9:59, enjoy some music, and do a little bit of this work. If you have questions, throw it in the chat. I'm going to turn my video off, and I'm going to turn it back on when we are geared up to continue. Okay, we are back. I saw Donald share. If anyone else has anything to share, throw it in the chat as well. And Donald, to what you said, I'd say, what are the superpowers that relate to being a public policy analyst? So what benefit does having extensive knowledge of state and local policy issues have? So you'd have that kind of first sentence that relates to what you are really capable of and what benefit you have for the people because of the fact that you have an extensive knowledge of state and local policy issues. So that first line would be, maybe you solve incredibly complex and difficult legal issues at the state and policy level, allowing for XYZ industry to move their initiatives forward when others, get stuck or fail within, a certain stage. That was just a very high level description. And then you go into, well, I am a public policy expert and analyst with an extensive knowledge of state and local policy issues and what other aspects of your job. So that could be, maybe it's with an expertise in complex legal research and frameworks or theories or whatever that is that relates to that space, and then what you want to actually do next. So right now I'm focused on learning or exploring or submitting or identifying XYZ within your area of interest. Hopefully that helps a little bit. To try this out, I'll share the slides with everyone that RSVP'd. You'll have this template. Keep throwing your examples in the chat, submit them there. They're going to help other people as well. The more examples that people can review, the better. And I'll look at these after the workshop as well and try to send some of my feedback on whoever submits, because I really do appreciate your time and you engaging within this workshop. So based on your pitch and this work that you just did, that first line, that headline, that's your superpower. So you don't have to write the whole headline, but I want to see what your superpowers are. So throw that in, Slido. What are your superpowers? What makes you magical? What makes you someone that is confident in the path that you're a part of? This is something that is unique to you. It's easy for you. And Superman doesn't think it's tough to fly, right? It's just a part of who he is. And so for me, my superpowers are coaching, are listening, are taking the complex and making it simple, understanding the career industry and personal and professional development, and how our values impact our feelings of success and fulfillment. Let's get a couple of these superpowers out there. It's a good way to start our day, or whatever time that you're in. Maybe it's the evening, good way to go to sleep. But if we can really just kind of put on a billboard what our superpowers are and accept them, we can get a lot more magic from our day. We're just going to feel better. We're going to have more energy to move forwards, to be really committed to our professional career and the things that we do. We're going to show up differently. Being relatable, work ethic, communication, trusted advisor, empathy, mentoring. I love this. Keep them coming. Keep them coming for about another 10 seconds. And then we're going to move on to that second secret. Career coaching, empathy, languages, public speaking. I'm going to jump in on the public speaking one. I don't have a lot of languages, but I just signed up for a community college Spanish class. I'm really excited about that. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about over the next couple of months. Work ethic, driven, engaging personality. Okay. Thank you everybody for sharing. I appreciate it. Take that superpower, write it on a piece of paper, put it on a Post-it note, put it on your computer, and remember what makes you, you. And you can get more specific too. If you have wrote down communication, what is it about communication that makes it your superpower? Give yourself some examples. Detail out what type of communication. Just build on it, because the more we feel confident in our superpowers, the more we understand them, the more likely we're to share them and to use them. Okay, so the second secret is that we have to align our brand. We just spent all this time, or just about 5 minutes, and you're going to spend some more time defining your pitch, your story. And that story relates to your brand. It relates to who you are as a professional. And this is not your job. It's not your job title. It's not the organization you work for. Too often people on LinkedIn and their headlines say XYZ title at XYZ company. That's great. But the people that are looking for you, that are going to create opportunities for you within your career, care about your superpowers. They care about what your brand is, what you care about, what your strengths are. And a job title and organization does not tell me that. And so we need to expand our view on who we are professionally. And it's not just our job. It is the culmination of our career and plus what we want to do next and our values and what we care about. So aligning your brand means adjusting what you share and how you present yourself professionally from just your job title to be more of your pitch. So that means, and we're going to go over some LinkedIn tips in a second, how you present yourself needs to encompass your story all the time. I also would highly recommend keeping your LinkedIn and resume up to date. Too often, a client comes to me looking for a new opportunity, or maybe they actually just got let go. Sadly, there's some layoffs happening right now, and they need to do a lot of work on their resume and their LinkedIn profile. Your resume, I understand. You're not always applying to jobs, and it's not as important because you tend to give someone your resume after you've made a connection or when you're looking for a position. But your LinkedIn profile, that's your career advertisement right now. That's what we have to work with. Now, you can create one pagers and send them out in email and such, but you still got to meet those people first. So your LinkedIn is just your billboard. It's your free website for people to find you, to connect with you, and it needs to represent your actual story, your professional brand. That means you want to post about what you care about. You want to share content about what you care about. You want to take in information around the things that you care about. That means what's on your podcast list? What types of articles, research papers are you reading? What kind of books are you reading? If you start aligning your brand to where you invest your time, you're going to create more opportunities within your career. This also makes it so that you are up to date on current content and research and news that relates to the area that you are a subject matter expert in. And that encompasses your superpowers. So I saw an individual that runs a successful bar posting right now. And so your brand is your bar, right? That's where you make your financial wealth, I imagine, as well as the values that underline the culture of that bar, what people are expecting to experience. And I imagine you are kind of a walking billboard of the brand and the customer experience of someone that's going to come into your location. And so you probably have to know what's happening in hospitality in your area, in the world, as well as, be up to date on current food trends, drink trends, maybe music trends, because people expect you to know that. When people meet you, if you're leading with that professional story about why you got into hospitality, why you care about hospitality, the experiences that you've had with customers and the impact that you've had on your local community, all of a sudden now that is going to impact everyone around you and change your environment. And people are going to approach you a very different way and come to you with certain opportunities because of what you've shared with them. Also, to build on that, if you're sharing information about hospitality and you're sharing information about your bar and how you talk to people online, of course, you're going to build up clientele. It's a very specific example for someone that runs their own business, but it's very similar to your own industry. If you're sharing information about your industry, like myself, I share constantly about leadership and talent development online, people are going to see me as that person, and more opportunities are going to come to me because of that. And I'm going to be more confident in my expertise because I'm staying up to date. So real quick, how top-notch would you rate your resume and LinkedIn profile? Where is it at? 5, the best. 1, you haven't even started yet. You don't have one up there. Okay, we got 4, we got a 2. And most of the time, we just haven't spent time creating a LinkedIn profile. I'd say 90% of the people that I work with don't post on LinkedIn. Now, after they work with me, they're posting on LinkedIn, I'll tell you that, and leveraging it to connect to individuals because LinkedIn likes it when you use it. But this is the platform that we use to grow in our career. That's what we have today. And so how top-notch would you rate your resume and LinkedIn profile? Where are they at? What's really neat about LinkedIn, it may seem like a lot of people are posting, a lot of people are sharing and engaging, but they're not. Most people are scrolling. And so if you start commenting, you start sharing content, you start connecting with people, you're going to stand out. You're going to create opportunities that you never would have created if you did not use these platforms. Okay, so take that number, be honest with yourself. And if you've scored anything lower than a 5, just some quick tips. If you do anything in your LinkedIn profile and on LinkedIn, please follow these tips. Add a cover image that relates to what you care about, what your story is. Get a professional headshot. Make sure your headline includes the keywords from that story that you just created. These are keywords that this is what you want people to search for. So for me, again, talent development, leadership development, executive coaching, organizational culture. Think about this, like what would I type into a search bar to learn more about my industry, learn more about the opportunities that I want next. put these in your headline. If you want some examples, you can look at my profile. I'd say whoever said their LinkedIn profile with a 5, throw it into the chat. You let people connect with you, but also see what that example is. And what I'll do too is in the follow-up, I'll find some profiles that I think highly of, and I'll share them with you too, if you want some examples of that. But also, if you look for people that are active on LinkedIn within your industry or space, you're going to find people that have a top-notch LinkedIn profile. There's nothing wrong with just mimicking what they've done. To mirror their keywords if it makes sense for you, and take some lessons from them, right? If someone's doing it right, why not leverage what they're doing? Now, your story, what you shared in the chat and what you've been working on, that should be your about section, as well as you can include more keywords in that section for search engine optimization, where people are going to find you, the more keywords you have within your industry. And please add some bullets to your jobs. I can't tell you how many people that I work with that just have their job title, if I'm lucky. Those bullets, again, help with keyword searches and rank your profile higher. Shows that you're leveraging LinkedIn. And in regards to leveraging it, use your profile. So comment, share. If you don't know what to share, just share an article that you've read since you've been intentionally investing in your story. This will be a game changer for you. You'll get more people viewing your profile. You'll get more people connecting with you. You'll get more recruiters reaching out to you. More importantly, when you meet somebody and then they go to your LinkedIn profile, they'll believe you. Okay, and move on. Hopefully, and this is a lot of content. Please write down the main things that stick with you, and then open up the follow-up email when it comes in to continue trying some of this stuff out. Okay, what feelings come up for you when I mention the word networking or reaching out to people you don't know? Got another Slido question for everybody. So when I mention the word networking or reaching out to people you don't know, what words come up for you? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you afraid? Are you seeking permission? Say a lot of people that I talk to are afraid and anxious, but interested. Like they wonder how to do it. They also wonder who they can reach out to. Apprehension, being ranked. Yeah, they could reject you, right, if they don't respond, which is an interesting belief because you don't know them, right? People have their own lives going on. Them not responding just means that they are doing something else. I've reached out to people. I waited a month and reached out to them again, waited a month, reached out to them again. All of a sudden they've attended one of my events and all of a sudden I'm having a conversation with them. It's really interesting to see how, past experiences do not dictate current experiences. And someone not responding doesn't mean that they don't want to talk. It just doesn't mean that, well, it probably doesn't mean anything, actually. It for sure doesn't mean anything personal about you. So I know that these feelings are real and they hold us back. But we need to focus on our relationships for career success. And I have another workshop that I've done on networking. And I'll put that in the follow-up as well. So make sure you check out that follow-up. And it's going to talk a little bit more about strategy and about the mindset towards networking itself. But relationships are the real currency in the world. If you have relationships, you don't need anything else. It's incredible. If you have powerful relationships, you can create anything for yourself in the world. So if you know what you want, if you've done that work on your story and your brand, and you're aligning your brand with your content, what you're posting, what you're reading, your relationship should also be a mirror of that, of your story. So for me personally, I have a lot of relationships with individuals that are CEOs, that are executives, that are founders of their own companies, some that are in the CPG space, because I work in the Better For You CPG industry as an investor and as a mentor, as well as people that are in the career and leadership development space and even the coaching space. I can't tell you how many partnerships have arrived because of this, have arisen, how many opportunities that have been created, how many new job offers, and even just incredible introductions. Because if you surround yourself with relationships that you've been connecting with, they're going to connect, and that you're connecting with that relies your brand, they're going to connect you with people as well. And it's going to compound upon itself and exponentially increase. So meet people all the time. And if you have your story, you're more likely to do it. So again, I'll be sending the link to that workshop on how to do more of this. But even though it's scary, can you meet one new person a week? Can you make a pact with yourself, a commitment to use those blocks of time for career development where you're going to reach out to maybe 5 or 10 people, because maybe one will respond, to actually have a conversation. And that individual should relate to what you believe is career success in your story. So this is a person that's a peer, or they're in a position that you'd like, or they're in your manager's position or a boss. These are individuals that you can get real curious about, have a conversation that is honest and open about your own story. And more importantly, one where you want to listen, to connect, and to learn about what they do each and every single day. A networking conversation, once you have your story, is pretty painless if you lead forward with curiosity and just ask questions. Moving forwards, so who controls how successful you are in your career? I think it's you, it's me, it's your boss, it's whoever is hiring, it's the economy, it's a bunch of factors. What do we think? This is probably the next 2 slides out of everything that we've talked about today are going to be the most important. The next 2 points. I'm going to go a little bit quick through them, just looking at the time. I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions at the end. Who is responsible for how successful you are in your career? A lot of people think the economy, or whoever is hiring at the time, or their boss. I'm highlighting that everyone, most people, majority, have voted that you are successful for your career. And I think you mean, yeah, the me and the you are pretty similar. I think there, have to adjust those words. But how often do we blame who's hiring, or your boss, or the economy? And so if you do really believe this, and I'm used to other factors being the reason, by the way, when people are being really honest, there's a little bit of, I don't control my success. That plays a role in our ability to be successful. We need to take accountability. So the 4th secret is that we actually have control, that we are responsible for our own level of success, and that we have to give ourselves permission and feel empowered to do the things that we need to do, despite our boss, despite economic conditions, despite any other factor other than what we are going to do for ourselves. I send out 150 connection requests on LinkedIn a week. The normal statistic for the acceptance rate around those is about 20%. Can't tell you how many people I work with that send out maybe 2 or 3, if they send out connection requests to build their network. Those don't get accepted, so they give up. It's not about something not working. Right? It's finding the things that do. Understanding and having the right expectations around what success is, or what success means to you, where success really is just progress. So can you give yourself permission, switch from reactive to proactive in your career, and say, if I want something, I'm going to figure out how to do it. So if I want this job at this organization, I'm not going to wait for a job to show up on their job board. I want to go network with 5 people in the department that I want to be a part of. I'm going to send them connection requests. They don't reply, I'm going to send them an email. They don't reply, I'm going to maybe connect with someone that they're connected with, have a conversation with them. Or we're going to go to an event that they're running or hosting and engage fully in the chat, so they see my name, so they're more likely to connect with me when I try reaching out to them in a month again. I have built relationships in industries that I never would have thought I would have relationships in, and connected with people I never would have thought I could have connected with, by taking accountability for my results. What would you do if you had $1 million and had to give it to a specific person, but you had to have a call with them, a conversation with them? What lengths would you go? And if you gave them that $1 million, you also got $1 million. So we have to think of our career success as if it's $1 million or more. It's something that is in front of us if we can accept accountability to achieve it. Okay, one more question. True or false? Success is something you achieve, not something you feel. Go and get into the last tip. Success is something you achieve, not something you feel. Is this a trick question? True, false? Is this a trick question? Let's get a couple engagements here. True or false? Success is something you achieve, not something you feel. I've been talking about career success today. There's been different to-dos, different pieces of homework that you can take away with, different thoughts and ideas. But is success something you achieve, not something you feel? I've worked with CEOs of some of the largest corporations in the world. I've worked with founders and entrepreneurs that have exited multiple companies and have a lifestyle that even I just go, wow, that is incredible. And they don't feel successful. And very often, we think we have to achieve something to feel success. But we know success is a feeling. It's not something you find or achieve, it's something you feel. And so if we're constantly waiting to feel successful in our career, we will never feel successful. There is no achievement that you're going to be able to create for yourself that is going to help you feel successful sustainably. Maybe for a bit, but we tend to go back to baseline. Why? Because striving for something new keeps us alive. Dopamine, the thing that helps us feel good, is actually, it comes up because we're motivated to work towards something. So we always are going to be motivated to work towards something, especially when it's something we care about. So if you identify your superpowers and your values and what you want to work towards, that thing that you've identified is a never-ending source of motivation and excitement. The problem with that is the success doesn't come from an achievement of it. It comes from actually living true to it. And so we have to find ways to have fun today, to value where we are today. And if not, we're just going to be constantly chasing success. So how can you do that? How do you accept and tell yourself that what you've achieved is enough for right now and helps you feel successful today, and have confidence that you're working towards what you want to achieve next? And by figuring out your story, by building relationships, really identifying your vision and your values and taking action towards them, you're going to feel more confident in yourself. You're going to feel more content, and you're going to create more fulfillment. And that's something that is going to be sustainable and is going to allow you to feel successful today without having to worry about what you're going to do tomorrow. So if we try these 5 different secrets out, we're going to feel like John. So John finally feels successful. He knows what he values and his strengths and is making progress towards the next steps in his career. He's made time and consistently engages inside and outside his organization with people that relate to his career brand. He chooses to be happy today and intentionally say yes to the things he loves and no to the things he doesn't. And he's taking steps to create his next ideal opportunity. Overall, he has created a career that he can say that he loves. So to review, let's figure out your story. Let's align that story throughout your life, professionally and personally. Let's focus on building some relationships. And let's accept accountability for our day-to-day, for what happens. Let's become proactive. And let's try to find some value in the present. Reflect on your previous success. Acknowledge that you have been successful, that you are successful, but that you have some interest for more. If you want to explore these points a little bit more, or have some questions about coaching, feel free to schedule a call. You can go to liveforyourselfconsulting.com/coaching. This will also be in the follow-up. If you like hearing my voice or want to hear some stories from people that are living for themselves or are leaders themselves, check out my podcast, Live for Yourself Revolution, and The Executive. Again, these will all be in the follow-up email, so don't worry about scanning these QR codes right away. If you're also interested in continuing to explore your career on your own, I've developed an online class which compiles 6 weeks of coaching into video content and a 25-page exercise and workbook. And this is your chance to win access to that class, as well as a leadership development session. So I'll be selecting 3 winners, 2 for a leadership and career coaching session, and one for a masterclass access. So it will all be free and complimentary. So if you're interested in winning some more time and some one-on-one time, so as access to that module, enter your email for a chance to win. And so after I give everyone a chance to enter their email, I'm going to be opening it up for some Q&A in the final minutes of our workshop today. I would recommend throwing your email on Slido just because everyone would have access to your email address in the chat. But if you're okay with that, then feel free to do that too. I'll be compiling emails from all entries. And you'll hear from me by the end of today. I'll select some raffle winners randomly and put them in the random generator and pick some emails out. You can also send me a direct message as well instead of posting it publicly in the chat. But as people do that, as people enter their emails, we'll open up for some questions. So if you have a question about career success, throw it in the chat as people enter this free raffle. Also, I have a gift for everyone that I'll reveal at the end of our time, but I want to make sure that we get some questions in if there are any. So if you have a question, throw it in the chat. Love to hear from you. If not, you can always connect with me directly on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Tell me what you are taking away from our workshop today. What action you're going to take. What homework assignment is top on your list. And let's continue the conversation. See, I have a question in the chat. Let's see. How do you know when it's time to leave your company and move on? Well, there's no exact answer to that in terms of when you know to leave. But I'd say if you're in a toxic environment, if you're drained each and every single day of going to work, and if being at your job, for right or for wrong, maybe it's not the case, it could be our own perception of the job, is something that is poisonous to your well-being, then to immediately leave. Now, I'm of the opinion that when it comes to making the most of our job, that we have a lot of power that we usually aren't applying in terms of noticing what we don't like and creating some boundaries, to noticing what we do like and asking to do more of that work and doing more of that work, to going and giving direct feedback to our supervisor and manager, to networking throughout the organization and building relationships that are going to be successful, that are going to help us be successful in our career, also help us develop career capital. But if you've done those things and had that conversation with your boss and trying to adjust your work and create boundaries, and your career path does not align with your values, the organization doesn't align with your values, then it's time to move on. It's time to start exploring what opportunities are out there. And saying no to a job, you'll find another job, especially right if you spend some time researching how to navigate the current job market, how to write a resume, how to create a LinkedIn profile, how to network. I mean, I'm there for that, right? There are coaches there for that. We will find other jobs. You found jobs in your career prior to the job that you're at now. So no matter what you decide, if it feels good to you, make that decision. You'll be okay. And if you're worried about financial security, start saving a little bit more so you feel more safe doing it. Get some contract positions or get a part-time job. You will be okay. And if you're asking that question, probably means like you're ready to go, but also take accountability and see if, have I done enough today to fix where I'm at, if it's even fixable. Okay, what type of content is most important and valuable in creating a LinkedIn profile? So your header, so that is the slogan at the top of your profile. People see that when you connect with them. So you want to make sure that represents you and your brand and your story. Your header image is important because when people go to your profile, it's the first thing they see. So you can create a custom image using Canva with those keywords, or even just something that relates to your industry and helps represent your story. A profile image, because it shows that you're a real human being. Your about section. So you want your about section to include that story, because that also helps with SEO and people read that when they go to your profile initially. So you want that to represent what you care about, what your strengths are, what your superpowers are, exactly what I shared with that template. And then your jobs and the bullets then underneath those jobs. And then the next, so I'm kind of telling you in order of your profile, but also in order of importance. And then your skills. So in your skills section, they should relate to those keywords that relate to your position. That's also how people search for you. It's part of the criteria and how they see if you align with a job and rank you within that job. And then if you can, get some recommendations. Write a recommendation for someone that you've worked with in the past, ask them to write one for you, or pre-write one and share it with them. You can even use ChatGPT for writing that recommendation if you need some tricks and tips and want to reduce the time that it takes if you're just stuck. That's what I would recommend. So thank you, everyone. We have reached time. I appreciate you showing up and you engaging. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, everyone that's attended that RSVP'd gets 48 hours of 10% off any coaching package. So if that's something you're interested in, connect with me on LinkedIn with the keyword success. I'm happy to follow up, schedule an intro call with you, and show you what that discount can get you. So thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your time. Enjoy the day. Create more career success in your life. Believe that you are successful to create more success too. And watch your inbox for that follow-up email, including all of those links and supporting information that I mentioned. Bye, everybody.